34th win of the year for the Rockets, and they get 25 from Eric Gordon, almost a 20-20 game from Chris Paul, 23 and 17. How good has Kenneth Faried been, and what a get that has been for the Rockets. And then you see the Durant, Curry, and Thompson, the usual suspects for the Warriors. Not enough help from the others on that team. And we're going to get to Draymond Green and his injury here in just a second. But Dante and B. Wood, talk about Chris Paul, man. I mean, no James Harden, and he really, even at his advanced stage, put the Rockets on his back and took them home.
CP came out there and had 17 assists for that team and led them defensively. They forced them into 17 turnovers, which is a tough thing for a Golden State team that usually doesn't turn the ball over that much, and they have a lot of assists. So defensively, it was a defensive game for them tonight because Eric Gordon and CP set the tone defensively. They had two guys in there with Kenneth Faried and Clint Capella. Those guys controlled the paint, and it was an all-out great defensive effort.
Chris Paul did a great job getting everybody involved. 17 assists. His numbers were huge. And on a night when James Harden wasn't playing, he had to set everybody up. Guys like Faried, Capella, those guys they're the recipients of great ball movement, great assists by Chris Paul. And we have to remember, last year, Chris Paul was playing at a high level also. He was averaging about 18 points to 8 or 9 assists. He's finally starting to get healthy, get into a rhythm. And on nights when James isn't there, he can still step it up. I know you say at his advanced age, but he's not ready to retire. He's not ready to come on set with us just yet. He still has a lot of game left.
And by the way, he's going to have a lot of game in this game when he is done. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, no question about that. What kind of belief and what kind of confidence does this give the Rockets? I mean, already a good team. You win 65 last year and go to the West Finals. But to go to Oracle and beat the Warriors without James Harden, how puffy-chested are the Rockets right now?
I don't know. I don't know what this sets them up for because they weren't playing well with Chris Paul and James Harden in the lineup together. So now that one is out, they have found a way to play with one being out of the lineup. Now you have to find a way coming down the stretch to make it work with those two being on the court and find some consistency and to find everybody to get a rhythm with them both being there.
I still think it's a good win for the Rockets. I think it's a confidence booster. This is one of those things that kind of tries to get them on the path to where they were last year. They understand they're not the same team, but a win like this can get them feeling like, hey, we were the best team in the league a year ago. A lot of those guys are still on that team, and this can be the win that can turn back the clock and remind them who they used to be.
Well, we're going to be hearing from Steve Kerr, the head coach of the Warriors, in moments from Oracle. Hopefully it's spicy. That's the kind of sound that we prefer here on Game Time, presented by State Farm. But Draymond Green suffered an injury here tonight, and it was a factor for the Warriors, stepping on the foot of DeMarcus Cousins. If you missed it, here it is. And you can see him wincing and yelping and hobbling around and then going down. He would not return. And B. Wood, he looks to be in a lot of pain.
Yeah, I'm looking at the injury, and I'm a little worried because I didn't really see it turn or anything. If I would have seen like a foot turn, I'd be like, okay, sprained ankle.
Right.
They're
calling it an ankle sprain, by the way, the Warriors.
Okay. Well, I'm not as worried because at first I thought it was the foot. There's a lot of different bones in the foot, and you can go a lot of different ways with that. If it's simply an ankle sprain, then he'll be okay, and that's not as much to worry about.
Well, did it look like either like he jammed it, or it was like not an outside roll but an inside roll?
They call it an inverted sprain.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. And as I'm with B. Wood, I didn't think it was an ankle sprain. I know that's what they're calling it, but I was looking at his foot being the problem, the issue here. And yes, they can call it that, but let's look at it, and hopefully it's not more of a foot issue with a broken bone or a bruised bones, because those are the things that take more time to heal later.
Interesting. And you know, Brett, you guys played, like I said, a combined 27 years in the NBA. A lot of times a guy will sprain an ankle and you don't see the pain like that. You don't see the, like a part of your body is under attack. A lot of times it's an ankle roll.
How's the noise go again?
And it's sore. They at home appreciate the replay here live. But you know what I mean? I'm concerned based on his reaction to that when it immediately happened. Does that concern you a little bit as well?
Yeah, because he's not one of the guys that's going to roll around in pain more of the time. He's tough. He's tough for his team, and he does a good job of playing through pain. And him to roll around on the floor in front of his bench and take the play off, that means that it's a lot going on in that injury.
Yeah, when you see somebody like Draymond that's known to be a tough guy, a guy that has played through injuries, a guy that his whole persona is, I'm tougher than you.
Right.
When you see that guy go down and start rolling around in pain, that lets you know it's a serious injury. It needs to be treated very seriously, and I'm sure Golden State will take that into account.
All right, guys, let's take it to Oakland right now. Audio issues. We're going to back it up, get the audio right, and replay that for you here in just a moment. Steve Kerr can't be happy with what happened here tonight. Again, the Warriors just dropped their third consecutive loss to the Rockets head up this year.
Right, and that's somebody you could possibly see in the Western Conference Finals. The Rockets have been trending upward coming into this downward stretch, and we'll we'll see. If Draymond is out, that is something that's going to be a real problem because he's their defensive dynamo. He's their leader. He's their tough guy. He's the guy that gets them through the lulls and the drags of the season, and I pray that he's healthy.
And Steve Kerr's not going to be happy with the way that the Golden State Warriors allowed the role players to really step up tonight. You understand Chris Paul is good enough to get his 23 points, but when you look at P.J. Tucker with 18 points, then you look at Gerald Green with 10 points, Kenneth Faried 20 and 10, how good of a pickup has he been? I mean, you got to just shout out him just for his effort. And, Dante, you know how hard it is when you're on the bench and you're buried to stay focused on the task at hand. He was left for dead in Brooklyn. He's able to come over here, help his team, and have a game like he had tonight. Since he's been there, he's just brought them tremendous energy.
Well, when you see Kenneth Faried doing what he's doing, it's not a great look, right, for the teams that he was with before. This guy was literally banished, not playing a single minute, and now he's a 20-10 guy and a 15-7 guy. And
he was literally on his way out of the NBA.
Yes.
But that's what shows about the NBA. It's not about – you can't play for every team. It's about the right fit. And if you find a team that you're fit for, that shows what you can produce and what you can get out there on a nightly basis. He's found a team that needs energy, that needs somebody that can play without the ball in their hands, that can rebound at a high level, that can give energy to other guys. So I'm happy for him that he's found a landing spot that he can continue his career at.
And talk about how Mike D'Antoni is using him to get the best out of him relative to maybe how some other coaches didn't use him and didn't get the best out of him.
The unique thing about Mike D'Antoni is he's not a guy that likes to hear about your faults. He doesn't want to hear about what you can't do. He wants to hear about what you can do. And then he's going to highlight what you do well. And you can see how he has morphed the system a little bit. When Chris Paul came in, he allowed him to take more mid-range jumpers than other players in the past. He wants you to play to what your strengths are, what you do best on the basketball court. A lot of coaches, they only know how to coach within a box. And if you go outside that box, they don't know how to reel it back in. Mike D'Antoni's done a great job of getting the most out of Kenneth Faried by letting him go outside the system.
All right, guys, good stuff. And we have the audio fixed with the Steve Kerr post-game interview, so here it is.
You got back into the game, though, tonight, and actually had a little bit of a lead there. What then happened that turned it back toward them in your mind?
Same thing that was happening all game. Poor transition defense. That will be a major point of emphasis for us when we practice next. We're just not finding shooters. We're not protecting the rim. You know, Capella gets a wide open dunk. Maybe it was Faried. I can't remember. A lot of three-point shots in transition for them. And then sloppy execution, forgetting plays, not really understanding what we're trying to accomplish. So we got to get our minds right, to play every night because this is what you face in this league. A lot of great teams.
Your new starting lineup now, I think this is their 11th game together. They played about 140 minutes or so, and I think they're slightly in the negative. Why do you think that kind of five-star lineup just hasn't really taken off yet?
I think the lineup has been good at times. I just think there have been several games like this one where we got off to really slow starts, and we got to just be ready to play right from the beginning. But small sample size at this point, for lineup combination stuff. So we'll watch the tape and try to get better, try to start better.
Steve Cousins specifically was minus 17, by far the worst plus-minus on your team. Did you think he was being attacked, and how did you think that whole thing went defensively attacked?
Yeah, I mean, that's Houston always does that every game. They run a million pick and rolls, and they try to put the five-man in the pick and roll quite a bit, and so we didn't do a great job as a team. It's a five-man grouping that has to defend, so we got picked apart pretty well on that, so we'll have to do better.
Steve, kind of going back to the 15-0 run, start the game, you didn't call a timeout to break it up at all. What was the thought process there, and trying to let the guys kind of figure it out on their own? Or
I'm not sure what I would have told them. Take a timeout and say, run a play, get back on defense, don't turn it over. It's usually you take a timeout if you see something, you want to make an adjustment. There's no adjustment to make when it's 15-0 and everybody's out there running in mud. So we got back in the game. So I thought Jordan Bell came in, did a nice job for us tonight. Hasn't been in the rotation much lately, so I was very proud of him for staying ready. And but it wasn't enough. We just never had the traction. Even when we had the lead, it didn't feel like we played fundamentally sound basketball.
DeMarcus, I think, has 6 turnovers, and he's been pretty inefficient maybe the last 7 or so games. Do you see the frustration kind of building with how he's playing offense?
Sure, yeah, he's frustrated. I mean, think about what DeMarcus has been through, with the year-long injury and the frustrating free agency, and so it's not an easy thing. Very difficult injury to come back from, and after first couple of weeks, the excitement, the adrenaline. That's the wear and tear begins, and that's where you really got to be able to rely on execution. So we'll work with him, and he can do better. He knows that. He's definitely frustrated, but he cares. He's an emotional guy, and wants nothing more than to win and compete. And so we got to help him along, and he's got to help himself along as well.
Did you move him out to the perimeter specifically in the second half? Looked like you were going to him on a low post early on. Didn't seem to work out. And was Cousins placed on the perimeter on purpose in that second half?
Not really. I mean, that's, we have different ways we can play, different actions, different plays. So I thought we got back into the game late first half with playing faster, playing more open. We didn't do anything specifically in the third quarter to try to keep him on the perimeter. We're just playing.
Steve, is Draymond set for X-rays or an MRI?
I have no idea.